In a small, dimly lit room in Ibadan, 20-year-old Taiwalaid Tiwa Adefemi was building something beautiful from almost nothing. Her bedroom was tiny and shared, but it was her creative space. She didn't have the best tools. Her tripod was a stack of books, her phone was old and secondhand, and her lighting came from a cracked mirror propped near the window. But she had heart. Every night, after school and chores, Tiwa would sit in front of her camera, showing how to do simple, beautiful makeup for dark skin using local and affordable products. No fancy brands, no studio. Just her passion and a voice that felt like a big sister's advice. She named her channel Tiwa's Touch, and slowly, the world started watching. From her first 19 subscribers, mostly friends, her channel grew as girls across Nigeria found someone who looked like them, talked like them, and made beauty feel real. Tiwa called her followers the Glow family. She answered every comment, celebrated every milestone. Her joy was in teaching how to contour with powder from the market, how to blend eyeshadow without brushes, how to feel confident with what you had. By her third year in university, she had 12,000 loyal subscribers who trusted her. People began recognizing her on campus. Some asked for selfies. Others shared how her tips helped them feel seen. She wasn't rich, and she didn't have a ring light, but her videos shined with truth. Her tiny room became a dream studio, not because of what was in it, but because of what came out of it. Tiwa had no team, no big brand backing her. Just a cracked mirror, a vision, and a spirit that refused to stay small. In every video, she reminded her viewers, you don't need much to glow, just start with what you have. And that was exactly what she did. After losing her parents, Tiwa moved in with her aunt and shared a small room with her cousin, Amarachi Chi Ugachukwu, who was just a year older. Chi was everything loud, from her voice to her fashion sense. She walked around like she owned the campus, always chasing likes and followers with flashy pictures, makeup looks, and fake giveaways. But no matter what she posted, her online numbers barely moved. Meanwhile, Tiwa quietly built her content. While others slept, she was up editing till 2 a.m., her cracked phone heating up in her hand. The room was always split in two, Tiwa's corner with books, notes, and makeup kits, and Chi's side, scattered with clothes and ring lights she barely used. Chi often mocked her. You think you're Jackie Aina with that ring light made from rope? She'd say with a smirk. But Tiwa never fired back. She'd smile gently and reply, maybe not Jackie, but maybe Tiwa. Her calm confidence made Chi's anger rise silently. Chi watched every milestone Tiwa reached, every subscriber shout out, every happy dance after hitting new views. On the outside, she acted like it didn't matter. She laughed, scrolled TikTok, and rolled her eyes whenever Tiwa filmed. But deep inside, she burned with jealousy. How was Tiwa, with no fancy camera or big following, getting real love online? Why did people listen to her? She wasn't loud. She didn't show off. Yet somehow people cared. Chi didn't understand it, and instead of learning from Tiwa's journey, she slowly started resenting it. Every night as Tiwa whispered "Glow family" to her fans with that soft glow in her voice, Chi lay in the dark, listening, eyes wide open. She wouldn't admit it, but she envied Tiwa's peace, her focus, her rising light. And that envy didn't just sit quietly. It was growing, twisting, and planning something she hadn't yet fully thought through. In the same room where one girl was building her dream, another was watching it, waiting for a way to tear it all down. It was a regular Tuesday afternoon. Tiwa had just finished filming a short video on how to mix homemade lip scrub using sugar and honey. She was tired but happy. As she sat to upload her footage, a new email popped up on her screen. It was from Glow Glam Africa, one of the fastest-growing beauty brands in Nigeria. At first, she thought it was a mistake, but as she opened it and read the words, her heart nearly stopped. They were offering her a sponsorship deal, not just a shout-out or free samples, but a full 6-part skincare series using their new line. They would send her products for free and pay her 200,000 Nigerian nairas for each campaign video. Her hands started shaking. Her eyes filled with tears. This was her moment. She leaped from her seat and screamed, spinning in the tiny room, knocking over her books and mirror. Jesus! Jesus! Thank you! She kept shouting. She couldn't believe it. Everything she had been working for was finally real. Chi was on her bed scrolling her phone. She looked up and asked dryly, What happened? Tiwa excitedly read the email aloud. She listened, then said, Congrats.
No smile. No hug.
Just that one word. Then she turned her face away and put her earpiece back in. Tiwa didn't let it bother her. She was too full of joy. She quickly replied to the brand, thanking them, then began planning her first video for the series. That night, she lay on her bed, her heart still racing. She couldn't sleep. She imagined buying better lighting, maybe a small camera, helping her aunt with bills. She smiled into the dark, whispering, Glow family, we did it. Her dreams were coming true. But behind her, on the other bed, Chi lay staring at the ceiling, phone still in hand, a different storm building inside her. Tiwa didn't know that her happiness had lit a fire in someone else's heart, one that didn't want to celebrate her win. And while she slept peacefully, believing her life was about to change, someone else had already decided to change it first. The next morning, Tiwa woke up excited. The first thing she did was grab her phone to check her YouTube studio. She wanted to see how her last video was performing, maybe even start planning her sponsored series. But as she opened the app, something strange popped up on the screen. Channel does not exist. At first, she thought it was a poor network connection. She refreshed the page, closed the app, logged out and back in, tried her laptop, still the same message. Her heart began to race. She typed in the channel link manually. Nothing. Her 72 videos, gone. Her 12,000 subscribers, disappeared. All her tutorials, comments, views, her entire journey, erased like it never happened. Tiwa stared at the screen, frozen. Then the panic set in. She began to breathe heavily. Her eyes filled with tears. She screamed out loud and dropped the phone. Her legs felt weak as she paced the room in shock. She kept saying, No, no, this can't be real. She rushed to her cousin. Chi, my channel. It's gone. Everything is gone. Chi looked up from her phone slowly. She blinked and said, Maybe YouTube glitched or something? Then went back to scrolling. But Tiwa wasn't convinced. Her passwords had been changed just last week after a phishing warning. She was careful, always writing things down in her notebook. The only person who had access to her recovery phone, the one linked to her Google account, was Chi. Tiwa stared at her cousin, who didn't even look surprised. A cold chill ran through her body. She didn't want to believe it, but something inside her said the truth was standing right in front of her. Her hands trembled as she picked up her phone again, trying every way to log in. Nothing worked. Her dream had vanished overnight. The same dream she built from scratch, gone without warning. And in that moment, the silence in the room said more than words ever could. Something was deeply wrong, and someone very close to her had the answer she feared most. That evening, after hours of trying to recover her channel and emailing YouTube support, Tiwa sat in silence. Her chest felt tight, her eyes sore from crying, but something inside her refused to give up. She remembered that her email had activity logs. Maybe, just maybe, she could find out what happened. With shaky fingers, she logged into her Gmail and opened the security section. Her heart pounded as she scrolled through the recent activity. Then she saw it, plain and clear. Her channel had been deleted from an Infinix Note 10. Her hands went cold. She slowly turned her head to the bed across the room. Chi's exact phone was right there, glowing on the charger. Tiwa stood up slowly and walked over. She didn't shout. She didn't cry. She simply said, You deleted it. Chi looked up, calm, almost bored. She didn't deny it, didn't make excuses. She just stared at Tiwa and said, You think you're the only one who deserves to shine? You and your cheap makeup and broken mirror, acting like some beauty queen. I just leveled the field. Her voice was cold, bitter. Tiwa's mouth opened, but no words came out. Her legs felt weak. She sat on the edge of her bed, trying to process it. This wasn't a stranger or some hacker. It was her own cousin, someone she shared meals with, laughed with, trusted. The betrayal cut deeper than anything she had ever felt. But she didn't break. She looked at Chi, her voice soft but strong. Thank you, she whispered. Chi blinked, confused. Tiwa continued, Now I know what I'm made of. She didn't cry. Not this time. Because in that moment, something inside her changed. She realized she had lost her channel, but not her strength, not her passion, not her voice. Chi had tried to break her, but instead had revealed what Tiwa truly carried inside: resilience. And that was something no one could ever delete. That night, while the room stayed quiet and heavy with tension, Tiwa sat at her desk with a deep breath. Her eyes were swollen, but her heart was steady. She opened her laptop and created a brand new YouTube channel. She called it Tiwa's Truth. No fancy name, just truth. She didn't bother with lights or makeup. She sat in front of the camera, barefaced, her voice low but sure. The background was dark. No music, no effects, just her and the silence. She hit record. Looking straight into the lens, she began, "My YouTube channel was deleted, not by hackers, not by accident, but by someone I live with, someone I loved like family." Her voice didn't shake. She kept going. She told her story, how she built Tiwa's Touch from nothing, how she stayed up late editing with borrowed tools, how she finally got a sponsorship, and how it was all taken away. She didn't name Chi, she didn't throw insults. She shared only what she had lived. But what she couldn't delete, she said firmly, was me. Her voice softened near the end. She looked into the camera with tired, honest eyes and said, "If you've ever had to start over, if something you worked hard for was destroyed by someone you trusted, you're not alone. Watch me rebuild from zero." She paused, then clicked upload. It was 1:30 a.m. She didn't expect much. Maybe a few views, maybe some support from old subscribers who might find her again. But when she woke up at 7 a.m. and checked her phone, she gasped. The video had already hit 30,000 views. The comments section was overflowing. People from all over Nigeria and beyond were writing paragraphs, sharing their own stories, cheering her on, telling her how brave she was. In just a few hours, her quiet, broken moment had turned into something powerful. Tiwa smiled, not because she had gone viral, but because she had taken her pain and turned it into purpose. And this time, she was rising with truth. By morning, Tiwa's phone couldn't stop buzzing. Every minute, a new notification popped up: likes, shares, comments, subscriptions. Her simple, raw video had touched something deep in people. The comments section became a flood of love and strength. Strangers were writing, "I just subscribed. You've got this." Others said, "This girl is a whole movement." One stood out, "She turned pain into power." Tiwa scrolled slowly, her eyes wide with shock, tears quietly forming again. Not from sadness, but from how many people truly felt her story. It wasn't just viewers. Other YouTubers, especially beauty and lifestyle creators from Nigeria and Ghana, began sharing her video on their platforms. Some stitched it on TikTok. Others posted it on Instagram stories, tagging her. They were saying things like, "Protect this girl at all costs," and "She's the real face of beauty and courage." One tweet went viral, getting thousands of retweets. "The way this girl just flipped betrayal into a brand? I'm staying." It was everywhere: Twitter, Instagram, even WhatsApp groups. People started calling her the girl who didn't quit. Blogs picked up her story. Someone even made a mini fan video of her old clips with inspiring music in the background. Tiwa watched it all in disbelief. The same platform that once crushed her now lifted her higher than ever. She wasn't just rebuilding. She was becoming a voice for every girl who had been overlooked, betrayed, or told she wasn't enough. And then came the message that made her freeze. Glowglam Africa emailed her again. Their subject line, "We still want you." In the email, they wrote, "Let's tell the comeback story together." The same brand that once approached her now saw her not just as an influencer, but as a symbol of resilience. Tiwa smiled through her tears. She hadn't just gotten her chance back. She had become the story. The broken mirror, the cheap ring light, the tears, it had all led to this. And the world was finally watching. 2 months after starting over, Tiwa's new channel, Tiwa's Truth, had grown to 40,000 subscribers. What started with one emotional video had now become a full movement. Her second series, titled Budget Beauty and Broken Trust, was more than just makeup tutorials. It was storytelling mixed with self-care. In each video, she used local, affordable products to create beauty looks while sharing real-life stories about betrayal, heartbreak, and rising again. Viewers didn't just come for the makeup anymore. They came for healing. They commented things like, "I came for the concealer, stayed for the truth." The series went viral, with clips being shared all over Instagram, TikTok, and WhatsApp groups. People felt connected to her pain, and even more inspired by her strength. Tiwa saw how deeply her story was touching others, so she expanded. She started doing weekly live chats every Sunday evening, where she answered questions in real time and spoke about growing a brand, facing family jealousy, and staying motivated. Young girls from all over joined in, many of them saying it was the first time they felt heard. She also began mentorship sessions, free Zoom classes for students who wanted to become content creators but didn't know where to begin. She gave them tips, shared editing hacks using simple phones, and encouraged them not to wait for perfect tools before starting. Her inbox was full daily with thank you messages. But the most powerful thing she did was launch a second Instagram page at Rebuild Sisterhood. It was a quiet space where girls could send in their own stories of how their dreams were crushed by people they trusted. Tiwa featured these stories anonymously, allowing others to see that they weren't alone. It wasn't just a beauty page anymore. It became a lifeline for young women rebuilding after betrayal. Tiwa's Truth was no longer just a YouTube channel. It had become a voice for every girl who had been overlooked, mocked, or doubted. Tiwa. Weeks passed, and Ezen's life began to change in ways she never imagined. One afternoon, as she and Ujunwa sat flipping through channels, her name suddenly appeared on the screen. It was a special feature on Channels TV, highlighting young Nigerians making impact through art and advocacy. Ezen's face appeared, followed by clips of her drawings, her AfroArts magazine cover, and a short interview she had recorded earlier that week. The segment focused on how her work opened conversations around youth mental health, school pressure, and the need for emotional support in African homes. Her voice, once silenced in her own house, was now being heard across the country. Messages started flooding in again. Young people sent her notes saying her art helped them feel less alone. Parents shared how her story made them rethink how they speak to their children. Teachers reached out, asking her to speak to students. What began as a drawing in pain had now become a movement. Then came the news that left her speechless. She had been accepted into one of Lagos' top visual arts academies, and not just accepted, but given a full scholarship. The email called her a rare voice in modern African storytelling through art. It was the first time anyone had celebrated her for the very thing she once hid from her father. Around the same time, her WEC Resit results were released. She passed math. Her father smiled when he saw it, but she smiled for another reason. Because for the first time, the result didn't control how she felt about herself. She had done it, yes, but she had already passed something far greater than a subject. She had passed the test of being true to herself, of speaking up when no one listened, of using her art not just to escape, but to heal others. Ezen, once called a failure, was now a name people mentioned with respect. Not because she changed to fit their world, but because she showed them her own. And they finally saw her. 1 year later, Tiwa stood on a stage in Nairobi, wearing a bright Ankara dress and holding a mic with steady hands. The banner behind her read, YouTube Africa Creators Panel. She was no longer just a girl filming in a small shared room. She was now Tiwa's Truth, with over 100,000 subscribers. Her journey had inspired people across the continent. Brands, fans, and fellow creators had come to hear her speak. Her topic? The pain that built my platform. She looked out at the audience, smiled, and began. She spoke about the night she lost everything, how her own cousin deleted her channel, and how that heartbreak almost broke her. But instead of quitting, she started again. With no budget, no trust, no plan, just truth. She shared how the world responded not to perfection, but to honesty. How she turned betrayal into a platform, and how her pain gave others the courage to rise. Her voice was calm but powerful. Everyone in the room listened closely. She ended with words that would echo beyond the walls of that panel. Don't be afraid of starting over. Don't fear the zero. Because sometimes, losing everything is how God shows you what can't be taken. The room went silent. Then, one by one, people stood. The applause was loud. Some clapped with tears in their eyes. Tiwa took a small bow, her heart full. She had made it, not in spite of her story, but because of it. Backstage, she sat quietly for a moment, soaking in the moment. Then, like always, she reached for her phone. With a deep breath and a gentle smile, she opened the YouTube app, typed her caption, and uploaded her next video. No panic. No fear of being erased. because this time her foundation wasn't built on views or followers. It was built on truth, on resilience, and on the belief that even broken beginnings can bloom into something unshakable.